Reenacting over 600 years of Ottoman Empire history, 1299 to 1923. The Ottoman Empire, the predecessor of modern-day Turkey, was one of the most powerful and longest-lasting dynasties in world history, existing for over 600 years. The formation and development of this mighty empire surely offer many fascinating insights. The ancestors of the powerful Ottoman Empire originated from a nomadic tribe of Western Turkic people. Refusing to live under the rule of the Tang dynasty, they migrated to Persian territory and the region of Anatolia around the 10th century. Bearing the bloodline of the Turkic people, a people associated with conquests and territorial expansion, the tribe advanced westward toward Armenia and Anatolia in the early 11th century. This expansion inevitably led to conflicts with the Byzantine Empire, also known as the Eastern Roman Empire. The outcome of these conflicts seemed to be decided after the year 1071, with the historic victory at the Battle of Manzikert, where the Eastern Roman Empire suffered a crushing defeat. They went on to establish the powerful Seljuk Empire, which became the predecessor of the Ottoman Empire in the Anatolian region. In 1243, due to the invasion of the Mongols, the most powerful empire in the world at the time, the Seljuks were swiftly defeated and fragmented into smaller kingdoms known as beyliks. A leader of the Kai tribe named Ertugrul Gazi was granted land in the western Seljuk region, following a minor border skirmish, with the permission and protection of the Seljuk rulers. This leader allied with various other ethnic groups, built up a military force, strengthened the internal power of his tribe, and eventually laid the foundation for an empire of his own. When Ertugrul Gazi passed away in 1281, his son Osman succeeded him. Shortly thereafter, in 1299, Osman declared himself a sultan, the first ruler, and established the Ottoman dynasty. The reign of Ottoman Fuases marked the official beginning of the Ottoman Empire, which would endure for 6 centuries. While other kingdoms were preoccupied with resolving internal conflicts, Osman IV expanded the Ottoman territory to the edges of the Byzantine Empire. In 1326, after Osman's death, his son Orhan, ascending the throne and moving the capital to Bursa, marking the beginning of the reign of Orhan I and the initial political formation of the nation. While other dynasties around the world at the time sought to rule their territories through military-style governance, the Ottomans took a different path. With a distinct ruling system that avoided militaristic control, the Ottoman court established a semi-autonomous legal system. Under this model, ethnic minorities and religious communities were granted the right to manage their own affairs independently, with minimal interference from the central government. This Ottoman administrative structure, formed during this period, remained largely unchanged for the next 4 centuries. In 1360, not long after Orhan's death, Murad II became the new monarch and continued to conquer surrounding territories, expanding the dominance of the Ottoman Empire. Over the next century, the influence of this powerful empire continued to spread across the eastern Mediterranean and the Balkans. Thessaloniki, a key Venetian city, was seized in 1387. In 1389, the victory of the Turkish army at the Battle of Kosovo led to Serbia losing control of the region, paving the way for the Sultan's European campaigns. The Battle of Nicopolis in 1396 is considered the last crusade of the medieval era. In this battle, the Crusader forces suffered a devastating defeat at the hands of the Ottomans. With the expanding influence of the Turks into the Balkans, the strategic conquest of Constantinople became a decisive objective. The empire had already captured much of the Byzantine land surrounding Constantinople. However, the Byzantines managed to hold out when Tamerlane invaded Anatolia and defeated Sultan Bayezid I at the Battle of Ankara in 1402. As a result, the Ottomans lost control of many Balkan territories, including Thessaloniki, Macedonia, and Kosovo in 1402. However, these lands were later recaptured by Murad II during the 1430s-1440s. Between 1402 and 1413, civil war erupted among Bayezid's sons, plunging the empire into chaos. The Ottoman Empire entered a period of historical interruption. This turbulent era only came to an end when Sultan Mehmed II ascended the throne and rebuilt the nation. Every sultan of the Ottoman Empire carried with him the ambition of expanding the empire's territory, backed by its elite and disciplined army. That ambition instilled fear in the gradually declining Byzantine Empire. From the time of Mehmed I to Mehmed II, the Ottoman army gradually encroached upon and eventually swallowed up vast Roman territories. Especially under the reign of Mehmed II, he restructured the state and the military, implemented numerous educational reforms, and issued the first legal code of the Ottoman Empire. He showcased his remarkable military skills in the campaign that struck directly at the Roman capital, Constantinople, in 1453. The Roman Empire officially fell, and the city of Constantinople became the new capital of the Ottoman Empire, ushering in a new and prosperous era. From its founding in the late 13th century to its peak in the 16th-17th centuries, the Ottoman Empire expanded across 3 continents, Asia, Europe, and Africa, covering an area of 5.5 million square kilometers with a population of approximately 25 million people, an enormous figure for that time. Specifically, the Ottoman Empire spanned all of southeastern Europe, the northern Mediterranean coast, the North African coast up to Morocco, the southern Mediterranean, and the former Ottoman territories, where nearly 30 modern nations would eventually be formed. By the early 16th century, the Ottoman Empire had become one of the largest states in the world at that time, with a formidable political system. Sultan Selim I, one of the most distinguished rulers of the empire, ascended the throne in 1512 and successfully annexed the Middle East into Ottoman territory. In 1514, he defeated Ismail I of the Safavid dynasty of Persia at the Battle of Chaldiran. Then, in 1517, he overthrew the Mamluk dynasty, the ruling power in Egypt, initiating a period of Ottoman control over Egypt. Selim I died in 1520. Sultan Suleiman I, known in the West as Suleiman the Magnificent, took the throne and led the Ottoman Empire to its zenith in politics, military, and culture. He reformed the legal system of the empire and continued to expand its borders. After capturing Belgrade in 1521, Suleiman conquered the Kingdom of Hungary, following the Battle of Mohacs in 1526. In 1529, he laid siege to Vienna, but due to harsh weather conditions, his army retreated. In 1532, a force of 25,000 Ottomans attacked Vienna again, but was repelled 97 kilometers away at Gun's fortress. After their farthest campaign in 1543, Holy Roman Emperor Ferdinand recognized Ottoman rule over Hungarian lands in 1547. Under Suleiman's rule, Transylvania, Wallachia, and Moldova became vassal states of the empire. In the east, the Ottomans captured Baghdad from western Persia in 1535 and continued to conquer Mesopotamia and the Persian Gulf in the following years. By the end of Suleiman's reign, the Ottoman population had reached 15 million. From 1571 to 1573, during the Ottoman-Venetian War, the Ottoman navy invaded Cyprus and eventually forced Venice to sign a treaty surrendering the island to the Ottomans in 1573. By the early 17th century, the Ottoman Empire began to decline. The sultans of this period often indulged in pleasures within the royal harem. Meanwhile, the Janissary Corps frequently staged uprisings. Externally, the empire's power waned to the point that Venetian and Cossack ships regularly disrupted Ottoman coasts. At the same time, Persian forces launched attacks on Ottoman territory in Mesopotamia. In 1656, during the reign of Mehmed IV, when the empire was on the brink of collapse, the court appointed a 71-year-old Albanian, Köprülü Mehmed Pasha, as Grand Vizier. However, Köprülü Mehmed Pasha implemented decisive reforms to eliminate widespread corruption. The Ottoman situation stabilized in the early 1670s. Under the leadership of Grand Vizier Köprülü Fazıl Ahmed Pasha, and later Grand Vizier Kara Mustafa Pasha, Ottoman authority was restored. During this period, Naval fleets from Venice, Poland, Austria, and Russia launched attacks on the empire, but were repelled repeatedly. The Ottoman army also succeeded in capturing Ukraine and Podolia. By 1680, the Ottoman Empire had made a strong recovery, reaching its greatest territorial extent in history, 11.5 million square kilometers. Even at its height, the empire did not stop expanding and continued launching military campaigns into neighboring lands. In 1683, responding to Hungary's call to resist Holy Roman Emperor Leopold I, Sultan Mehmed IV ordered Grand Vizier Kara Mustafa to lead 200,000 troops upstream along the Danube River. For the second time in history, the Ottomans laid siege to Vienna, but were ultimately defeated by the Holy League, also called the Holy Alliance, led by King Jan III Sobieski of Poland. The Battle of Vienna marked the beginning of the Great Turkish War, 1683 to 1699, in Europe. In the following years, the Ottomans suffered a series of defeats as European forces pushed back from Vienna. The Great Turkish War ended with the Treaty of Karlowitz on January 26, 1699, under which the Ottomans were forced to cede several territories, such as Hungary, to Austria. However, as the 18th century began, the Ottoman Empire entered a period of stagnation. Many regions once under Ottoman control gradually gained de facto independence. During the 18th century, the central government granted more autonomy to local leaders and provincial governors. A series of wars took place between the Ottoman Empire and the Russian Empire from the 17th to the 19th centuries, mainly over territorial expansion toward the Black Sea and the Caucasus. In most cases, Russia emerged victorious. In the later stages of this stagnation period, the Ottomans implemented reforms in education and technology, achieving some notable successes. However, during this same period, conservative and anti-technological forces also emerged. The empire's community of writers condemned the printing press as a creation of the devil. Delaying the introduction of Gutenberg Johannes printing technology in Constantinople until 1492, 43 years after it was invented in Europe, brought in by Jewish immigrants. During the reign of Sultan Ahmed III, tulips were adopted as a symbol of peace and prosperity, giving rise to what became known as the Tulip Era. During this time, the empire's policy toward Europe shifted. From 1718 to 1730, the empire enjoyed peace, following its victory over Russia in the Pruth Campaign, 1712, and the subsequent Treaty of Passarowitz, which ushered in a period of truce. The Ottoman Empire then began reinforcing fortresses in cities bordering the Balkans as a defensive response to European expansionism. A number of hesitant reforms were also undertaken: tax reductions, improvements in provincial governance, and the emergence of private investment and entrepreneurship. Military reform efforts began under Sultan Selim III, who made the first major push to modernize the army in line with European standards. Unfortunately, his reforms provoked a revolt from the Janissary Corps, leading to Selim's removal from the throne, and ultimately, his death. The Janissary issue was later resolved brutally by one of his successors, Sultan Mahmud II, who ordered a massacre and the dissolution of the Janissary Corps in 1826. By the 19th century, the Ottoman Empire was in true decline, losing territory, suffering economic collapse, and becoming increasingly dependent on Europe. The Balkan Wars of 1912 and 1913 inflicted severe losses on the empire, both in land and population. In the mid-19th century, the empire initiated several reforms aimed at modernization, attempting to reclaim some of its former strength. But most of these efforts failed. When World War I broke out, the Ottoman Empire entered the war as part of a secret alliance with Germany. The war proved disastrous. The collapse of the Ottoman Empire was a direct consequence of World War I. Over two-thirds of the Ottoman military perished in the conflict, and more than 3 million civilians died. But just 1 year after the war ended, Mustafa Kemal Ataturk and the Turkish Revolutionary Forces launched the Turkish War of Independence. In 1923, the revolutionaries were victorious. Sultan Mehmed VI Vahdettin was forced to abdicate, and Mustafa Kemal Ataturk founded the Republic of Turkey, built on a portion of the former Ottoman territory. For over 600 years, the Ottoman Empire stood as a mighty empire, spanning vast lands, commanding a volunteer army, and embodying rich ethnic, religious, and cultural diversity. Although the end of World War I also marked the end of this powerful empire's historical role, the Ottomans left an indelible mark on the course of human history.